Hello everybody and welcome to Senior Susie Stamps. I'm glad you're here today. I have some fun cards to show you today, and they started by me purchasing this packet of 5 cards in envelopes from Hot Off the Press Paper Wishes, and it's called a pull-up card. And I've seen this off and on over the years, and they had them on sale. And I thought, oh, you all might like to see some of those. I hadn't made any for a long time, and I thought I'd get a pack and refresh my memory, and I did. And so this is what they look like. This is the one made directly from that pack, and then I've resized this to an A2 size, and that's what we're going to look at today. But you see, when you open it up, you pull it up. Isn't that cute? Now, I know some people will want to have a stand-up card, so I think I've got you covered on that. On this one, I put a little easel on the back of it, and this is an A2. These are all going to be top fold. You could do this as a side fold card, but today I just made them all top fold, and this is the first one that we're going to look at as the landscape top fold. But this one is the way that one opens up, the same thing. Now, I would suggest that you don't use daisies as your little pop-up flower, because they're just a little too fragile. But on the back here, on this little easel that I made, see, the card will stand up just fine. And you get to send it out, and they get to put it up and enjoy it. Let's look at the third example I've got, and then we'll get into making cards, and I'll give you the dimensions. And this is it. This was a little butterfly that I got from the Dollar Tree. This little sentiment came out of my little sentiment notebook that I've got over there, and I just colorized it a little bit to go with this paper. I put a little bit of glitter, I don't know if you can see that or not, just to bring the glitter that's on this butterfly up into the card itself. And then, thinking of you, get well soon. I need to get this one ready to send out in the mail. Now, on all of these, I have put designer paper on the back, and you could put an additional little white piece on the back for more writing room if you wanted to. Now, for this one, I made a different kind of little easel stand, and I fashioned it off of my little wooden easel that I got, oh gosh, 20 years ago from the Goodwill for like 10 cents. On this one, I put a little black edge on just to kind of help with the black in the card. And then I have taken that pattern and put it on my scanning cut so that I can just cut these whenever I decide I want to and make them up, which is kind of handy for sending a card out like this that doesn't have a way to really stand up. But you can pull the sentiment up and stand them up just fine like that. So let's get started. Now, the dimensions on these will be in the description box below, but we're going to start with the top fold landscape, and that's going to be cut at 10 by 6.5, and then the inside piece is going to be 4 1/4 by 4 1/8. And then we're going to do some scoring, and the scoring probably is the most difficult part of this card. You just have to kind of pay attention to what you're doing. Now, this is a 6.5 inch wide, so I'm going to score it at 6 and take a 1/2 inch off and turn it and score it again at 6. And I do that because it's easier for me to score over here on this side than over here on this side for me. And then I'm going to score this card again 2 3/4 and 7. And then we're going to cut some of it off. And we're going to cut this, well, while I've got my scoreboard out, I'm going to score this one . Now let's go back to this 10 by 6.5 inch piece, and this is going to be the bottom flip up, and this is going to be the top flip down. So what I want to do on the bottom section is to cut a little notch here and here on both sides. And then we're going to cut this long piece off because we don't need that. And we're going to cut the score line off. I personally find this a little easier to do with scissors, but you could put it back on your cutter and do it that way, and that would be fine. I can just see it a little easier this way. And I make sure I stop where I'm supposed to and don't cut down too far. There we go. And so those are scraps, and they can be done whatever you want to do with them. Now I'm going to go ahead and fold my score lines in and burnish them down well. This is a very easy card to put together. It looks a little complicated starting out, but trust me on this, it isn't. And then on this one, I'm going to go ahead and burnish that fold line down. And the first step that I like to do is to glue this in place. And sadly, I have put my score line on the wrong side. So let's see which one I did that on. I did it on the 4 1/4 inch side, so you want to do yours on the 4 1/8 side. So now I'm going to put some glue on this edge right here, and I'm going to center this piece in between those tracks right there. You can see here and here. Well, you know, I turned this so it would have been just a little bit wider. And I want to lay that right up next to that score line and close my card so that I pick this up. And so now what we have is a piece that looks like this. And so when you fold this up, then this will run down in that track. Now, I've got one that I don't have all penciled up, so I'm going to use it instead. And we'll go ahead and make it. I've got some nautical theme paper here today that was some scraps in a pack called, it's called Seaside, and it's double-sided paper, really, really pretty. And I had just a few little scraps in this pack, and so that's what we're using today. We are going to use them all up. Let me show you how this goes together, because they're simple to put together. And at this point, I want to go ahead and put my paper on the inside. You can use glue, you can use ATG. There's not going to be any stress on this paper at all. This piece was just a little bit short, so I made a little extra piece for this, for the top. And I cut a little wavy line with my decorative edge scissors. And I could have cut a decorative edge on the top of this. On these two cards today, I'm not cutting a decorative edge just to save a little time and show you how to make these cards just kind of straightforwardly. But you could put a decorative edge on here either with decorative scissors or a border punch or a cutting die. However you want to, if you want to. You certainly don't need to. Now I'm going to go ahead and glue these little ears here down, and we're going to put glue on both of them at the same time. And then we're going to fold up and around this piece right here. There we go. I'll hold that for just a second till it dries well, and we're going to keep decorating this card. I kind of had nautical on the brain today since I found this paper, and I remembered that I had some little seashell dies in my stash, and I found them, which was purely miraculous. But so I cut some little tiny seashell dies to go with this. And this piece, remember now, the measurements are all down at the bottom in the description box, so don't worry about it. You'll find that, and you can go down there and make some of these on your own. But part of this piece will be covered up now when the card is closed, and that's why I put this little shell border down at the bottom rather than up at the top. There we go. And then on the back, I have this nice little blue nautical piece to go on. And again, if you wanted to have a little more room to write a personal note, then you certainly could add another piece of white paper to this. on the top, or just not put this back cover on, and that would be fine. But I had the paper and I wanted to get it used up, so that's what we're going with now. This little stuff here was some packing that I got from Amazon, I think, in some little carton of something. And I thought, oh, that looks like netting. Well, that's been in my stash for I don't know how long now. And today we're using some of it. Not much. I've got a bunch left, but I think it makes the best little fish netting. And I think it themes up with this card just perfectly. Now, I'm going to put this little tag, this little label on with foam tape, and I'm just going to use that to glue this little bit of webbing down. Near the sea we forget to count the days. That is an old PSX stamp, 1999, and it stamps like a champ, I'm here to tell you. Rubber stamps are wonderful. They don't distort if you take halfway decent care of them. So there's my card, and I'm going to just write a little sentiment, a little note in here, or sign it and move on with it. Now I've got some little seashells here. This one moved when I die cut it, but I'm not going to let that bother me. I'm just going to stick it right up underneath something and keep moving on with it. And only you and I will know that it had a little problem. That's okay. We all have a little problem once in a while. Hope y'all have been doing well. I've been really busy here at the farm, but we are all doing well, and we're glad to see some spring weather come. And here comes Lucy. Hi, Lulu. You can hear her clickety-clack nails on the floor. So I think just those 3 little shells will be enough, don't you? Got that set up. Now let's look at this other card. And it is the portrait style with the top fold. And it starts at 11 by 5 1/4. And the insert is 4 7/8 by 3 1/8. Now, this is an A2 sized card, but it's only going to be 5 inches tall when it's closed up instead of the 5 1/2, because you don't have enough room in an 11-inch piece of paper to get that extra space out. But we're going to do exactly the same thing. We are going to take a 1/2 inch off, so that's 4 3/4. And again at 4 3/4. I just rotated it all the way around. And then I got to check my little cheat sheet over here. Okay, we're going to score at 2 1/2 on one end and turn it, and score at 3 1/2 on the other end. And your 2 1/2 is going to be your bottom, so that's what we're going to leave the little dog ears on. And this one that is 3 1/8 by 4 7/8, we're going to score at 3 7/8 on that 4 7/8 inch side. And all you're doing is taking an inch off. We're going to cut this the same way we did before with our little dog ears. Oops, just a little bit more. There we go. And then we're going to cut this long strip off. And this is going to be 4 1/4 inches wide when it's finished by 5. And it fits perfectly in an A2 size envelope without any trouble at all. And now would be the time, if you wanted to put a decorative edge on that, you could. I don't want to do that on this one because I don't think it goes so well with the nautical theme that I've got going on here. But you certainly could. And we're going to do the same thing. I believe, I don't remember if I mentioned it or not, but I think I'm going to take a little dog ear off of these as well. I forgot to do that on that other card, so it just makes it hide a little bit better for you when the card is opened up. And this one fits a little bit more like it was supposed to. So you want to make sure that you get them nicely between these tracks here. And then I usually try to push it up right to this edge of that score line and close the top on it. And then I usually use my little Teflon bone folder and burnish that in well, because that's going to be your pull mechanism there, and you don't want it to be pulling apart on you. So this is the little sheet for the inside. It was a little small. It was a scrap. I'm using it, and it's fine. It works well that way. And when you're using scrap, sometimes, like on that other card, I put a little border at the top. Sometimes you either have to accept a little larger white border around, or you have to make do with something else that you add on to make your paper go as far as you want to. But as far as I'm concerned, this is fine. And now I'm going to glue these little ears on. And we're going to fold that right up over top of our little pull-up paper. And give your glue just a minute to set there. There we go. And then this piece is going to go here. I don't have a lot of nautical paper in the studio, but I really like this paper. It's just a really pleasant color combination to me, and it has a lot of interesting artwork, and I just really like it. So there you go, and there's plenty of room to write a little note. You might have to use a nice dark pen, but that's okay. And then this little piece goes up on the top. And make sure you get your seashells going the right way. There we go. Now you can wrap a ribbon around this or wrap some twine around it and finish it however you want to. You can put a sentiment on the front of it like I did that one, or do some other kind of nice nautical embellishment. We're not going to embellish with this one today because it's the same format as that other one. I just wanted to show you the difference in those two. And so now we're going to go ahead and glue this one down on the back. There we go, and that card's all ready to finish. See? Okay, now I want to show you about making these little easels, because there's just a little tiny trick to these. And as I said, I drew an outline and then I hand cut the first one, which was this one. And this is the little trick that I want to tell you about, because I put the feet on this up against the score, up against the top here. And then I put this line where I can take a ½ inch off, because that's about what I've planned to take on this. Let's see. And you can tell it's not exactly a half. It looks like it might be 3/8 on this one because I trimmed it just a little bit. So there we go. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one. And all I'm doing is to look for a line that takes the far side of that foot and connects with where this curve starts going down. And then I'm going to take these score lines and burnish them in well. Now, if you're ingenious about this and you have a scan and cut, and you've cut these on your scan and cut, you could cut another piece of designer paper and cover your cardstock with designer paper and make a really pretty little easel that goes with your cards. I just didn't do that because I really just want kind of some generic ones to go with these for this round. And this is what's going to stiffen your easel. So we're going to glue these with a good glue, and I'm going to use art glitter glue, and just put them together. And yes, you will have a little flap on both sides. That's the way they're designed. and you put your score line together, and that becomes your fold point. And I'll go ahead and burnish that in well, and then glue your other side down. And this is where your little easel gets its strength and its structure, is in this little double fold here with that score line. It's really remarkably difficult to bend these. There we go. And there's another one ready to go. Now I did notice some easel shapes like this on Amazon, but I didn't need it because I had that one to draw off of. But if you're not comfortable drawing your own little easel shape, you can look on Amazon and look for easel shaped dies, and they have some that look very similar to these. I wasn't sure what size they were, to be honest with you, but these stand up very, very well and will hold all manner of cards for you. And if you want an inexpensive little display option for your studio, this is a nice one. They've got a really nice little curve to them and what have you. So this is the basic card. This is the one that we finished, and these are the 3 that I had already made. So let me know if you have a favorite, and I will see you all again. Whoops, come back here. I'll see y'all again next week. Bye, y'all. Take care. Have fun.